Hi everyone, welcome to our third installment of Outreach Live. My name is Natalie Grenfell and I'm an Outreach Coordinator at DigiPenn. Today I'll be going over some of our student life, but for those of you who haven't heard of DigiPenn before, just a brief overview. DigiPenn is a private four-year school and we were founded by the co-founder of Nintendo Software Technology. Our school is located in Redmond, Washington, and our degree programs are typically focused on interactive media. So our 5 areas of focus are computer science, computer engineering, game design, sound design, and fine arts. And if you want more information on each of those individual degree programs, you're always welcome to reach out to us by email or by phone number. We're going to jump right back into our Outreach Live theme for today, which is Dragon Life at DigiPenn. Some of the first things that you should know about DigiPenn is that we do have a very unique student life at DigiPenn. We don't offer things like sports or sororities here, and we have a pretty unique approach to that. We have a very robust student life at DigiPenn, and our students are very engaged in this community because it is a rigorous campus. Our students spend a lot of hours on campus, so a lot of their social engagements tend to be on campus. You can see a lot of different ways that they're connecting and a lot of different ways that we're pretty unique. Instead of a homecoming football game, we typically have a homecoming cosplay competition. So we're definitely nerds here and we definitely really like that. So you can kind of see a few different ways that our students are able to really display their interests through a number of different ways. One of those ways that you'll see a lot of diversity is through our student clubs. DigiPenn has about 35 to 40 clubs per semester. And the cool thing about our clubs is that they are mostly student-led. So that means that what you want to see on your campus is what you will see here. There are a lot of different types of clubs at DigiPenn. You'll see some that are a little bit more academically focused, so you'll see things like math club or physics club. If you have some exciting projects that you want to do outside of class, you can see things like that in your clubs at DigiPenn. You can also see some that are related to games because a lot of our students really like games. You'll see some related to our student projects. One of those clubs is our playtesting club. We have a playtesting club that offers students a chance to bring any number of their projects that they've been working on to this club so that other people can playtest their games. That's a really key part in being a great game developer is always getting that feedback, always making sure that you're hearing from other people and having people experience your game. And a lot of our students are making games for their projects and are very hands-on curriculum. So our playtesting club is just one of those venues where you can get feedback from your peers about your different projects. You'll also see other clubs that have nothing to do with academics or any of our other school stuff as well. You can see that some are just for fun too. That's a really fun part of our community at DigiPenn is that there is a lot of activity going on that's just for social engagement. Our students are one of the biggest supports for each other because it's a unique environment here and they're able to really get a lot of support that way. So you'll see some of the fun clubs can be related to different games. If there's a favorite game that you have that you want to play every week, then our students will sometimes play those. You can also see favorite types of movies. We even have a Cage of the Week club, so if students want to watch Nicolas Cage movies every week or whatever other kind of movie you want to watch every week, you can see that our students are very engaged and they get to decide what they want to see in their community. So even though our students are spending a lot of time in the academic realm at our school, you also see a lot of different opportunities to engage on that social level and kind of exploring different opportunities with maybe different hobbies that you haven't tried before and a number of other ways that you're able to connect. You'll also see another really valuable way for our students to connect at DigiPenn is through our Student Senate. That's a really very important key at DigiPenn is that we hear our students' voices. We are who we are because we listen to our students and because we have a founder and faculty members that have that industry experience and are really able to make sure that we're having a conversation about how our school is going. And Student Senate is one of those ways that we do that. Student Senate meets about once a week and they have a lot of different people that are coming, mostly students, and then we also will have staff and faculty there as well. And that's to really foster that conversation, making sure that our students always have a voice in what they'd like to see in our school. You can see that Student Senate is a very effective method of communicating from our students to our faculty members and higher up because it allows our faculty members and some of the people who are guiding our school to be able to get that perspective. You can see that students' voices are very important to us. You can see that in things like just recently our students said that they wanted free parking and now we have free parking. So that's a really important piece that we always really encourage students to engage in, making sure that if you have an idea about how to make our school better, if you have things that you want to see here, that you let us know because we want to hear that and that's how we succeed at DigiPenn. You'll also see that student life also revolves heavily around our industry events as well. We know that students are coming to college because they want to get jobs later on. And next week, we're going to talk a little bit more about student resources and exactly how we get you connected to that at our next session. But for our industry events, that's another part of student life where people are able to attend different industry events, like PAX that we have, PAX West, and we also have a number of different PAXs around the country that we get to go to. We also go to GDC, a number of these other E3. We have a lot of different industry events. And you'll see that that's a great way for students to engage with each other and also getting prepared to work in the industry. If you're not familiar with some of those, definitely check them out. You can look them up, and you can also ask us if you have questions about those. But PAX specifically is an opportunity where we have our students have an entire booth where they have arcades up and they're able to actually show their current games. And that exposes their games to thousands of different viewers, and that gives them a chance to really engage in their community as a community of gamers, but then also getting to get that connection with professionals as well. We also plan our spring break around GDC, so that's going to be another really great way that you're getting connected, is by making sure that you have that week off. If you ever wanted to get that chance to go to GDC, you're going to have that chance, which is really helpful as well. So you can see industry events are a very active part of our outreach team. You'll see us at a lot of different events. You might have seen us at South by Southwest just recently, and you'll see that there are a lot of different ways that we get our students connected to those industry events as well. So that's going to be a really helpful component of getting involved in Dragon Life at DigiPenn. Another really key point in our student community is also our housing. Some of you might not be familiar with our housing opportunities, and that's a really important thing to consider when you are looking at our school. Our housing is a little bit unconventional, kind of like a lot of things at DigiPenn, in that they are apartment complexes that are just within about a mile radius of campus. They still offer you a similar experience that you might have at other colleges, where you get to have roommates that are from your school, you get to have resident assistants, you get to have a lot of support there, but it's just going to be a little bit different in that you have a full apartment that you get to share with those other students. That's fully furnished living room and kitchen, and then you have bedrooms and bathroom as well. And then you also have our Dragon Wagon that goes back and forth, which is a super convenient way to get back and forth to campus. So that's one of the huge ways that you'll see students connecting, especially in their first year. None of our students have to live in our housing the first year or any of the years, but if you are interested in that, that's a great way to start building your community. I mentioned resident advisors. Those are a big part of our students getting connected to our community, because it offers them the chance to have someone that's been through the DigiPenn ring a little bit. They understand what it's like, and they are able to give you a little bit of an extra layer of support. That also gives you the chance to attend different events that our resident advisors are planning for you, really getting connected with other people in your community, and really getting to experience life outside of school with your other DigiPenn students that you're living around as well. So that covers all of our main topics for our student life at DigiPenn. But next time that we have our Outreach Live, which we will definitely be posting about soon, you'll see that date coming up. The next time that we are speaking with you, we're going to talk a little bit more specifically about different student resources. Student life that we talked about today covers a lot of the different fun, engaging things that we have on our campus. But it's also really important for you to know about things like career services and other things like our faculty mentors and our disability support services, and a ton of different ways that we are making sure that our students have the support that they need. So be sure to tune in next time that we are on Outreach Live, and you'll be able to hear a ton of information about that at that time. So I'm going to leave just for about a minute or so here. If you have any questions, we're going to let you chat those in. So I'm just going to wait here for a minute to see if you have any questions, and then be sure to take down my name. You can see that in the bottom, I think that's your left corner. You can see my name there, and if you ever have questions or if you want to speak with me directly, you're always welcome to give me a call or email me, and we are always happy to give you tours on campus and answer any questions you have about the admissions process. So if we have any questions, you're welcome to type that into our live chat there. We're going to see if any of those are coming in here. Okay, and I don't see any questions popping up at this time. Hopefully I'm not missing those. I did have a couple that people were asking about before we started this session, something that we'll probably go over every time that we talk about DigiPenn at our Outreach Live. Some of our application process questions. For our application process, you can find all of that online, and that's going to be a really helpful resource through looking through all of our different pieces that we require for our application. You can see that we have kind of the general things like test scores and an application essay, things like sometimes we have a portfolio that's required depending on which degree program you're interested in. So that's something to definitely keep in mind. We also do have a pre-calculus minimum for our Bachelor of Science students. So that's something that we'll cover a lot more probably in another Outreach Live session. But just to kind of give you a brief overview, those are some of the things to start thinking about if you think DigiPenn might be a good fit for you. I also just wanted to repeat our subject areas for those of you who might not have heard that in the beginning. Some of the subject areas that DigiPenn students are focusing on are really all related to interactive media. Students in our degree programs are going to be focusing typically either on computer science, computer engineering, game design, sound design, or fine arts. And you actually choose your major when you apply, and you get to actually start your major the day you get here. So instead of just a 2-year degree, you're really able to get that full 4 years focused on your major. I see we have another question coming in, so I'm going to wait just a second so that we can answer that question as well. Okay, I have a question about the main differences between student life at DigiPenn rather than other schools. That's a great question. And this is something that really only you can determine what is the best fit for you, because only you can decide what you're looking for in your environment at DigiPenn or at any college. At DigiPenn, we are a pretty small school, so we only have about 1,100 students, and that's including our graduate programs. And like I mentioned before, you are going to see a significant difference in the environment given that we don't have sports, sororities, or fraternities. That can change the student life in a lot of ways. You'll also see that DigiPenn, because it's a small community and because all of our majors are focused on a similar area, you'll find that our students tend to be interested in similar things. We have a lot of diversity, so that's not saying that every student is the same here by any means, but you'll see that there's a lot of interest in the gaming industry or kind of general technology. So you'll see differences in our types of clubs. You'll see some of the themes that we have are very kind of nerd culture, because that's the stuff we really like. And the other thing that I noticed really different about our school is the security that you have here. DigiPenn is a really unique experience. It's not like a lot of other schools because our students typically spend about 60 to 80 hours a week on campus. It is rigorous, and it requires a lot of student engagement. So you'll see that with a lot of different kind of a feeling of solidarity at our school. That's something that I didn't really, I felt a little differently with the school that I went to, that it was a larger institution, that I didn't quite feel safe to leave my laptop out. And that's something that you kind of feel a little different at DigiPenn, is that you just feel that kind of sense of security that people are looking out for each other. And that's obviously kind of, that's a subjective perspective on that, but I definitely feel that. I feel a tight-knit community at our school because of the size and because of how engaged and kind of interdisciplinary our approach is. So those are some of the ways that you'll feel a lot of differences at our campus. And another thing to consider if you're wanting to experience that and talk to a student is our student shadow program too. So if you are ever interested in that, be sure to look that up on our website. Again, reach out to me personally, and I'm always happy to explain that more, because that's a great way for you to kind of feel that difference here by coming on campus here. I have another question. Can you do well at DigiPenn without prior experience in what you are learning? Great question. That is going to depend a little bit on what you're wanting to study. So for our computer science students, for example, we know that not every high school offers computer science. So if you are not able to come in with any experience with that, that's okay. We totally understand that you might not have had that opportunity. In that case, we really want to make sure that you have that math and physics background, because that's going to be a huge determining factor in your success at DigiPenn. So that's one of those things that might not require as much background experience, but it is helpful to have that. That's why we offer things like our youth programs, wanting to make sure that you at least are exposed to the thing that you're wanting to study before you come here, even if you don't have a ton of experience doing it. For another one of our degree programs, our Bachelor of Fine Art in Digital Art and Animation, that's a degree program where you are going to have a little bit more background experience rather than the one that I mentioned with CS subject areas. For our Fine Arts degree, we do require a portfolio. And again, that's going to be a little bit more in-depth information that you can find on our website, or when we do another session, maybe going over application materials. But that one does require that you have some background knowledge about fine arts, that you're really getting comfortable with a lot of of different pieces of how to be an artist with your hands first. So if you're wanting to know about specifically what kind of experience you would need with that, feel free to reach out to me again, and I'm always happy to go over that. And then you'll also see kind of a similar story for our Bachelor of Art in Music and Sound Design students. That's going to be another one that requires a portfolio, and that means that you do have to have a little bit of familiarity with your instrument. For game design, it's a little bit different. That's not something that you typically get a ton of formal experience in, but we do like to see that you have made games, that you understand what it's like to make a board game or a dice game, get feedback, and kind of see how you need to make those different changes throughout the iterations. So it kind of varies depending on each one, but if you have more in-depth questions about a specific area, feel free to reach out to me, and we're always happy to talk about that. I have another question. If you choose to live in housing, can you continue to live in it during summer? And then a follow-up question, is it only students at dorms or do others live in the apartment complex? Great questions. So if you want to live in our housing, it is an 8-month lease that starts in around September, or it starts like the week before school starts, so typically the last week of August or first week of September. And then that goes all the way through the end of spring semester, which is in April. So if you would like to live in our summer housing, we do have that option, but it is going to be a separate lease. So that's something that you would just have to talk with our housing department about to make sure that you get that extended lease for that. And then someone asked that question if there are other people living in that complex. So it is a third-party complex. DigiPenn doesn't own those complexes, but each of the units are through a lease. Your lease would be through DigiPenn. So within your unit, you would only have DigiPenn students in the shuttle that we talked about before, but you will have there are other people outside of DigiPenn that live within the complex. You just don't interact with them as much since you wouldn't be living with them or sharing transportation with them. I have a question. How many students do you have that come from outside the country? I believe the number is now 14%. So we have a lot of different students coming from all over the world. And then we also have only about 55% of our students are coming right from Washington. So a lot of our students are coming from out of state as well. So yeah, a lot of different variety there. All right, I think we're wrapping up on questions. Does anyone else have any other questions that they want to type in before we wrap up here? I'll give it about 15 seconds before we wrap up. All right, it looks like we are good. If there's any questions that I wasn't able to get to, like I said, feel free to give me a call or email me. Look at my name on the bottom there, and if you just call our outreach line, which you can find online, feel free to ask for any of us, but I'm always happy to talk with you about any of your questions and get anything answered more specifically with each degree program. And like I said, next Outreach Live session is going to cover topics about student resources. So be sure to tune in next time for that. Keep an eye on our Facebook page. Make sure to like our page so that you're able to get updates on that. And then you'll be able to check in next time to hear about things like our disability support services, career services, and a lot more. Thank you guys so much for listening, and I hope to hear from you and any follow-up questions you have. And we will see you at the next Outreach Live session.